I think what's happened in the last few days has served as a wake-up call to the American people. Of course, we had our hearing on Tuesday with four pretty smart people that came to the same conclusion. We have you today, and of course, we have what happened yesterday at the White House, as well as other places in the House. But we actually talked about this, and it's been obvious to those of us at this table that over a period of time, North Korea has, going all the way arguably back to the Scud B times of the middle 70s, progressing up to the No-Dong and the Taepodong 1 and Taepodong 2, and then ultimately coming up to the statement that he makes that declares that North Korea, this is Kim Jong-un, declares that it's in its final, quote, final stages in preparations to test an intercontinental ballistic missile. So I think people now realize that it is that imminent threat, and they really haven't. I know that you deal in military circles, and you're dealing with people who know what threat is, but those of us around this table are dealing with the general public, many of whom do not understand that. So we had the hearing on Tuesday. They agreed that North Korea currently represents the single most imminent, they use imminent threat. Victor Cha testified, and this was his quote, he said, the pace of North Korea's development shows that it wants to be able not just to field one missile that could reach the United States, but a whole slew of them. And the panel all agreed on that. So we're getting into really talking about serious things here. You just now, in response to a question or a comment by the chairman, said that it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. So we know, and I think it's our job, and it's incumbent upon the military as well as us to let the American people know the nature of the threat that's out there. Now, last year, Senator Rounds and I led a group to your area, and we talked about some of the things that were taking place at that time. And we came back and we had that hearing that you referred to. In the hearing, you were asked the question as to what are your needs there in terms of resourcing yourself adequately to meet the threats. Let's keep in mind that was a year ago, and with the threats is totally been enhanced since that time. What would those needs be today as opposed to what we thought they were a year ago?
Sir, last year I commented that I had the forces to fight tonight, to respond tonight to any threat from North Korea or anywhere else for that matter, and I still believe that today. I have the forces in place to fight tonight if necessary. What I'm concerned about are those follow-on forces and how the forces themselves, and also how those follow-on forces would get to the region in terms of airlift and sea lift. So I'm worried about that. I'm also worried about things like small diameter bombs and other kinds of munitions, anti-air warfare weapons for our fighter aircraft, adequate numbers of AIM-9D and AIM-120 missiles. I worry about the shortage of anti-ship missiles, and whether it's long-range anti-surface missiles, more Tomahawk, or whatever, but a long-range anti-surface missile. I would like to see a fifth SSN in Guam, but more than the fifth SSN in Guam, our nation is facing a significant shortage and in terms of submarine numbers.
Yeah.
So as a combatant commander, for example, I only get 50% of the submarines that I think I need, but that's based on a 52 submarine force, and by the end of the 2020s, the Navy projects that submarine force, attack submarine force, will go down to 42. So my requirements won't go down, but the pool from which they'll be sourced is going to drop dramatically. So I worry about that significantly as I look at the threat from North Korea, potential threat from China, and from Russia.
Yeah, and we're going to be depending on you to advise us in not generalities, but as you're getting into right now, priorities on the needs that you have, and we will depend on that. I am also encouraged that our allies are more dependable than what they have been in the past? And is it your impression that they see this as the threat that's out there as we do? And does this open the door for maybe even more allies coming in our direction?
I believe it does, and if we define allies, as partners, like you're talking, we only have 5 defense treaty allies in the world, and they're all in the Indo-Asia Pacific. We have other countries that are close to us, that are partners with us. Singapore comes to mind, for example. Malaysia, Indonesia, India, Vietnam. These are countries that I think seek the United States as a security partner of choice.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that very much. Now, my time has expired, but I'd like to just ask one more question. You made the statement we should cease to be cautious about the language we use to describe these activities. Can you define that a little bit for us?
I'm not sure in what context you're referring to.
Okay, that was a quote, and I'll do that for the record and give you the context,
Okay.
because it's something that a lot of us didn't